Godrick isn't the first boss in Elden Ring. Margit beat him to that, guarding the road to Stone Vale like a locked door with teeth. But Margit is a filter. He's there to turn away players who wander too far too fast. And the game barely blinks if you run past him instead of fighting. Godrick is different. It's the first fight Elden Ring actually wants you to win. I want to talk about why that distinction matters, and why the fight at the end of Stonevale Castle is doing something Margit was never built to do. Margit exists almost entirely as a gatekeeper. He guards the main path forward, sure, but the game gives you a dozen ways around him, almost immediately. Torrent lets you outrun him. The open world lets you wander off into Limgrave and come back stronger, and plenty of players simply never fight him properly on the first attempt. He's optional in spirit, even when he's mandatory in placement. His whole design purpose is to say not yet to players who haven't built up enough tools, levels, or patience. Godrick doesn't have that same escape hatch. Stonevale Castle is a real dungeon with real structure. Load gates, item checks, a boss room you can root around. By the time you stand in front of him, you've already committed to the level in a way you never had to commit to Margit. And critically, the game rewards that commitment differently. Beating Godrick doesn't just clear a boss fight, it hands you a Great Rune, opens the road to Lyrian of the Lakes, and from the start of the story Elden Ring has been dangling in front of you since the tutorial. Margit blocks the path, Godrick opens one. Once you actually get into the fight, the difference in intent becomes even clearer. Godrick's first phase is methodical, a sword and axe combo set that punishes your greed but rewards patience almost immediately. Once you learn the riff, it's punishing, but it's fair in a way that feels designed to be learnable within a handful of attempts, not dozens. Then the second phase happens. Grabs the dragon's head onto his arm mid-fight, and the entire tempo shifts, new range, a fire breath attack, a completely different set of openings to learn. This is the part that actually reveals what the fight is for. From Software didn't need to change the fight rhythm this dramatically. They could have just made phase 2 the same but faster, the way plenty of easy boss fights do. Instead, they build a fight that forces you to learn his body in real time, under pressure, with no room to retreat and reset. There's not a filter mechanic. A filter just says no until you level up enough to say yes. This is a teaching mechanic. A fight explicitly built to test whether you'll learn to adapt mid-encounter, because that skill is going to matter for every major boss for the rest of the game. Here's the part of makes that wants you to beat him, frame accurate, and not just a catchy line. The entire structure of Elden Ring's story assumes you get past Godrick. Lurnia, Caelid, and eventually the rest of the map are gated, narratively and mechanically, behind this fight. Unlike Margit, who the game is fully comfortable with you avoiding for hours. Godrick is a checkpoint the story can't function without. The Great Rune you receive isn't flavored text. It's a mechanical unlock tied directly to the game's central concept around the Elden Ring itself. From Software built an entire castle, an entire narrative beat, and a two-phase boss specifically to make sure that by the time you leave Stonevale, you'll be taught the game's real vocabulary, patience, adaptation, and the willingness to walk back through a fog gate after falling. Margit tests whether you're ready to enter the classroom. Godrick is the first real reason inside it. That's why the kill itself matters more than it might seem to from the outside. It's not just a clearly hard fight, it's the moment the game confirms you've absorbed the thing it's been trying to teach you since the Great Plateau. That confusion, failure, and repetition are obstacles to the experience. They are the experience. Every death against Godrick is data. Every attempt strips away a little more insanity until the fight stops looking like chaos and starts looking like a part you actually understand. And once you win, the game doesn't just move you forward. It tells you, mechanically and narratively, that you're ready for what's next. Which is really the entire point of building a boss this way in the first place. Margit filters. He asks, are you sure you're ready to be here at all? And lets you dodge the question if you're not. Godrick teaches. He assumes you're already committed and instead asks a harder questions. Can you adapt when the fight changes underneath you? One boss is a gate you can walk around. The other is a door the entire rest of the game is standing behind. That's why, for as brutal as the fight is, beating him doesn't feel like getting past an obstacle, it feels like being let in. And that's exactly what From Software built the fight to feel like.